Well, Jamie, I was actually I came to Xerox in 1978. And for a year, I trained in the copier division, and then I sold copiers for a year. And I was actually at the office late, and we had this ticker tape machine, and I heard it going off, and went over to see, and it was a job posting. I was a grade level 4. This was a grade level 10, and it said zero radiography, and I couldn't pronounce it. And I had no idea, but I saw the salary and the commission structure. And so I started to investigate to see if I could interview. And the branch manager said, hey, look, you're new. There's no way in hell. This is like the top tier of Xerox sales. There's no way you're going to get this position. But I went to the library, which was right across the street from One Allen Center. And I was the only one in the interview process that had really studied the technology of zero radiography and really had somewhat of a knowledge, soft knowledge of what breast cancer was and what it was all about. So I got the job. Covered, lived in Houston, but covered as far as Alabama, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Mississippi, Louisiana, and then the southern part of Texas, the Rio Grande Valley, as we call it. Well, I had to call directly on radiologists. So I had to know what I'm talking about from a medical standpoint, and from a radiology standpoint. I had to understand everything from tissue, from skin line radiation doses, types of cancers. I had to know my stuff. So, I had a real learning curve that I had to do because that wasn't my field. Science was always difficult for me as a youngster. So I had to work really, really hard, and fortunately was the #1 sales rep in the medical division 3 out of 4 years. So very proud of that. Not to know that one day that could possibly save my life. So how that happened is the medical division of Xerox closed in 1988. Kerry Nolan, who was the president of the medical division, then went to Picker International, that then Philips bought Picker. He brought me over because I was his #1 sales rep. And I became a CT and MRI specialist. It was really odd last week. I was in an MRI, let me say that again. It was really odd last week when I was in an MRI at MD Anderson. And I had sold 2 MRIs at MD Anderson. And so it just brought back these flashbacks of those days that I was at MD Anderson. And now as a sales rep then, now as a patient. And so again, I'm just very grateful to have some backstory knowledge of anatomy and of cancer and the guidelines. That's one of the things that saved me, knowing the guidelines. Back in the 80s, it was 1 out of 10 women would get breast cancer. Now it's 1 out of 8 women will have breast cancer in their life. And so it's really affected my family, which I'm sure you'll talk about.